Men always return to you if you act like this, ladies. Let me let you on a secret, not the kind in fairy tales or rom-coms, but the kind that actually works in real life. Men do come back, but not for the reasons you might think. Not because you played hard to get, not because you texted them a perfectly crafted emoji-optimized message, and definitely not because you waited exactly 3 days to respond. They come back when they feel something they can't replicate anywhere else. Let's talk about that. There's a kind of woman a man never forgets. It's not the most beautiful woman he's ever seen. It's not the one who chased him or sacrificed her standards to keep him. It's the woman who knew her worth and acted like it. She's the woman who, when he pulls away, doesn't chase. She creates space. She doesn't make her entire world shrink just to fit him in it. Why? Because she already had a life before he showed up, and she's not about to let go of that just because someone interesting walked in the door. She makes him feel great, yes. She's warm. She's kind. She's fun. But she's not auditioning, she's not selling herself. She knows she is the prize too. And when she walks away, not in bitterness, not in drama, but in confidence, that's when he starts to remember her. That's when the what ifs start haunting him. That's when he realizes she didn't need me. She chose me. See, men don't come back because you wait by the phone. They come back when they realize you were never waiting. You were building, growing, living. So no, this isn't about playing games. This is about playing the long game, living in alignment with your values, staying grounded in self-respect, and understanding that your power isn't what you say to him. It's in how you treat yourself. That's the woman he comes back for. That's the woman he never forgets. When a woman understands her value, everything about the way she shows up in relationships changes. She no longer chases after someone just because she feels a spark or hopes he'll eventually see her worth. Instead, she becomes selective. She responds to energy that matches hers rather than clinging the hope that maybe one day he'll appreciate her presence. And that shift in energy is exactly what makes her irresistible. High value doesn't mean being cold or aloof. It's not about pretending to be busy or acting like you don't care. It's about genuinely knowing that your time, your love, and your attention are precious. And not everyone deserves access to it just because they showed up with a little charm. This kind of woman can, like someone, even care deeply for him, but still have the strength to say, if you're not showing up in the way I deserve, I'm okay with stepping back. That kind of emotional maturity and self-respect is rare, and it's magnetic, because the truth is, many people are used to being pursued. They're used to others proving their worth, accommodating their every inconsistency, and making excuses for their behavior. But when you're not chasing someone, when you're not constantly seeking validation from them, you stand out. You don't need to beg for attention. You command it naturally. When a man senses that you like him but don't need him to validate your worth, it creates intrigue. You're not trying to win him. You're allowing him the opportunity to win you. And that switch in dynamic is powerful. He starts wondering why you're not chasing, why you're not trying to fix things when he pulls away, why you're not scrabbling to get his attention back when he goes cold. And that wondering, that curiosity makes him think. It makes him reflect. It makes him consider what he had and what he could lose. The energy of not chasing also protects your peace. When you chase someone, you're constantly in a state of anxiety, waiting for texts, overanalyzing conversations, adjusting your behavior in hopes of keeping them interested. But when you stand firm in your value, you create emotional stability for yourself. You're not addicted to someone's inconsistent attention because you're already full within yourself. And ironically, when a man senses that you don't need his presence to feel complete, it often pulls him in deeper. He starts to realize that being with you is a privilege, not a guarantee. This doesn't mean you play games or act indifferent. You can absolutely express interest, be warm, affectionate, and open. But you balance that with discernment. You don't chase, you invite. And only the right man, the one who recognizes your worth and wants to meet you at your level, will step into that invitation. So when you stop chasing, you make space for something greater to come to you, whether it's in returning or someone better arriving. Either way, you win. There's something incredibly attractive about a woman who has her own life. A woman who wakes up in the morning with purpose, not because someone texted her, but because she's excited about what she's building. When a man enters her world, he isn't stepping into a blank space waiting to be filled. He's entering a vibrant, full, passionate life that she's already created on her own terms. And that is deeply magnetic. It's not about being unavailable or pretending you don't care. It's about genuinely having things that matter to you outside of a romantic connection. Your career, your friendships, your passions, your goals. All of these make you whole, grounded, and confident. When a woman keeps living her life regardless of what's going on in a relationship, it shows emotional resilience. It shows that while she may care about someone deeply, she never loses herself in that connection. She doesn't cancel her plans because he suddenly decided he's free. She doesn't abandon her goals or shrink her world to fit someone else's comfort zone. And in doing so, she becomes the kind of woman people don't just want. They respect, because she respects herself first. Men are drawn to women who bring something unique to the table, someone who inspires them, who makes them think, who introduces them to a new way of living or seeing the world. That doesn't happen when your entire focus is on them. It happens when you've invested in yourself so deeply that your presence naturally elevates the people around you. You become interesting because you're interested in life. You're lit up by more than just someone's attention. That inner light is hard to ignore. When you live a full life, you also stay emotionally balanced. You don't overact when things go quiet. You don't spiral when a conversation feels off. Why? Because your world doesn't revolve around the relationship. You've got things going on. You're busy creating. You're engaged with people who fulfill you. And that kind of emotional independence is powerful. It puts you in a position where you're not tolerating breadcrumbs just to feel connected. You've got a feast already, and if someone wants to sit at your table, they have to bring something nourishing too. It's also about energy. When you're doing what you love, you radiate something that can't be faked. You smile differently. You walk into a room differently. You're not performing. You're being, and people feel that. A man may not be able to articulate why he can't stop thinking about you, but it's often because you've shown him something raring. A woman who is both emotionally available and completely self-sufficient. So when you keep living your life fully regardless of what a man is doing, you create contrast. He sees that you're not waiting in the wings. You're center stage in your own story. And if he wants to be part of it, he has to show up. Not to rescue you, not to complete you, but to complement what you've already built. That's when his return isn't just likely. It's inevitable. There's a moment in every connection where one person pulls back, maybe out of fear, maybe uncertainty, or maybe just because life got overwhelming. For a lot of women, that moment triggers panic. It feels like rejection, like the connection is slipping through their fingers. And instinctively, they reach out. They try to fix. They chase after clarity, trying to re-establish closeness. But here's the true thing: the most powerful move you can make when a man pulls away is to do nothing, not from a place of pride or punishment, but from a place of confidence. Because when you trust your own worth, you don't fear the space. You honor it.
When you allow that distance without resistance, you send a clear message, not just to him, but to yourself. You're saying, I don't need to cling to someone to feel secure. I trust that what's meant for me will choose me freely. That kind of emotional poise is rare. Most people react to distance with anxiety, over-communication, or over-explaining. But when you can sit in that discomfort and stay grounded, it shows tremendous inner strength. That space, uncomfortable as it may feel, is often the moment where someone figures out what they really want. Think about it. If you rush in every time he pulls back, he never has a chance to miss you. He never experiences the absence that creates appreciation. He doesn't get the contrast between your presence and your distance. And without that contrast, it's easy for him to take you for granted. But when you lean back, when you protect your energy instead of pouring it into a confusing situation, it forces clarity. It gives him the chance to actually feel your value through your absence, not just your presence. It also shifts the dynamic. Instead of you chasing answers, you become the one who responds to energy, not the one begging for it. That's a massive difference, because while men may enjoy being pursued for a while, long-term attraction is built on mutual effort and emotional safety. And nothing says emotional safety like a woman who doesn't crumble when things feel uncertain. She trusts herself to handle whatever comes, even if that means walking away from someone she cares about. When you hold steady during the distance, you also preserve your dignity. You don't send a flurry of desperate texts or rehash conversations that won't change his behavior. You don't try to prove your worth to someone who's unsure. Instead, you quietly focus back on yourself, your friends, your work, your peace, and that calm, unbothered energy. It speaks louder than any paragraph you could send. It shows him that your world doesn't stop just because he's unsure of his feelings. And that's the moment when the shift happens. That's when he starts to wonder if he's losing something rare. So in those quiet moments when he pulls away, don't panic. Don't fill the silence. Let the silence speak for you. Let your calm presence echo louder than any reaction. Because in that space, his feelings have room to rise, and if he's meant to return, he'll find his way back. Confidence is one of the most attractive qualities a person can have, and not the loud, flashy kind. The quiet, grounded confidence that comes from truly knowing who you are. It's the way you carry yourself, the way you speak, the way you walk into a room without needing to dominate it. Yet somehow everyone notices you. It's not about arrogance or being better than anyone else. It's about being secure in your own skin, owning your strengths, embracing your imperfections, and not relying on external validation to feel good about yourself. That kind of energy draws people in without you even trying. When a woman radiates this kind of self-assured energy, she becomes unforgettable. Not because she's trying to be seen, but because she's already complete with or without someone else's attention. She doesn't need a man to make her feel beautiful, wanted, or enough. She already knows she is. And that creates a sense of emotional freedom in a relationship that men find deeply appealing. They're not expected to affix her or complete her. They're simply invited to join her already amazing life. That difference is subtle, but powerful. Confidence also sets the tone for what kind of treatment you accept. When you know your value, you're not afraid to say no to things that don't serve you. You don't entertain half-hearted efforts, vague intentions, or people who are unsure about you. You don't chase after attention or try to convince someone to see your worth. Instead, you attract the right energy by showing up as your most authentic self and trusting that whoever is meant to be in your life will rise to meet that standard. The beauty of true confidence is that it's not about being perfect. In fact, it's often your quirks, your honesty, your ability to be vulnerable while still holding boundaries. That's what really captivates people. It's the strength to say, this is who I am, and I like her, that leaves a lasting impression. A confident woman doesn't pretend to be unbothered or hide her emotions. She just doesn't let those emotions run the show. She leads with self-respect. In romantic dynamics, this becomes a game changer. When a man senses that you're comfortable in your own life, that you're not looking for him to fill a void, but to share in your joy, it shifts the energy entirely. He starts to feel inspired, not pressured. He becomes more drawn to you, not out of obligation, but because he genuinely wants to be around that kind of energy. You become the woman he remembers when he's out in the world, because you didn't try to impress him. You impressed upon him who you are, without trying. And when life challenges you, your confidence allows you to stay centered. You don't let heartbreak, rejection, or confusion shake your sense of worth. You allow yourself to feel things, to heal, but never to forget what you bring to the table. That, more than anything, makes people want to come back, not to save you, but to be near that strength again. There's a subtle but powerful shift that happens when you stop trying to control the outcome of a relationship. When you let go of the need to know where things are going, how he feels every minute, or whether he'll choose you, you reclaim your power. Most people operate from a space of fear when they care about someone. Fear of loss, fear of not being enough, fear of being left behind. But when you release that grip, when you stop chasing certainty and instead ground yourself in the belief that what's meant for you will stay, you exude a calm confidence that's impossible to ignore. Letting go of control doesn't mean you don't care. It means you care enough about yourself to not micromanage love. You're not waiting on texts, obsessing over mixed signals, or trying to figure out what went wrong. Instead, you give the other person the space to choose you of their own free will. You trust that your energy, your presence, and your boundaries are enough to call in the right connection, and that if someone walks away, it's not a loss, it's redirection. This mindset changes everything. It keeps your peace intact. And ironically, it often makes the other person come back because they feel safe in your energy, not suffocated by it. When you stop forcing things, you start to flow. You become more playful, more relaxed, more in tune with the present moment. You're not living in your head, constructing what-ifs and future fantasies. You're showing up as you are, letting the connection breathe. That spaciousness is what allows people to actually miss you. Because when someone feels that you're not emotionally clinging to them, when they sense that you're okay with or without them, they start to ask themselves why. Why aren't you chasing them? Why are you so okay? And that mystery creates magnetism. It also rebalances the energy. When you're constantly trying to control things, you're in pursuit mode, and often that makes the other person pull back. But when you lean back emotionally, it creates space for them to lean in. Men often return not because you convinced them to, but because your stillness made them realize your value. That moment of pause, where you didn't chase, didn't beg, didn't explain, it echoes louder than any effort to force closeness. It makes someone confront what life feels like without you in it. Letting go of control is also a deep act of self-trust. It says, I believe in my ability to handle whatever happens. That kind of emotional maturity is rare and incredibly attractive. It takes strength to sit with uncertainty, to not react, to choose silence over unnecessary explanation. But in doing so, you protect your dignity, your peace, and your energy. And that protection signals to others that being in your life is a privilege, not a guarantee. When a man feels that shift, that you're not trying to keep him, but simply allowing space for him to show up, he often realizes he doesn't want to be anywhere else. Ladies, here's the truth. You don't need to perform, chase, or convince anyone of your worth. When you stand rooted in who you are, when you show grace during distance, embrace confidence over control, and honor your boundaries with quiet strength, you become unforgettable. Not because you're playing games, but because you're living with intention. You give space instead of pressure. You offer warmth without losing yourself. And in doing so, you create the kind of presence that lingers in someone's heart long after you're gone. Men return not to the woman who begged for their attention, but to the one who never needed it to begin with. They return to peace, to strength, to the woman who knows how to love without losing herself. And if they don't return, you won't break. You'll rise, knowing that the right person will recognize your value without hesitation. So walk with your head high, stay grounded in your truth. Love fully, but never at the cost of your self-worth, because the real magic happens when you stop chasing love and start becoming the kind of person it naturally finds its way back to. Thank you for being here. Thank you for showing up not just to understand others better, but to understand yourself more deeply. You deserve the kind of love that doesn't make you question your value. And that begins with the way you choose to show up for you. Take care, stay strong, and remember, you are already enough. You already enough. Goodbye for now, and thank you.